MetalCow Robotics presents Safety Training. So let's talk about why we're meeting today. We want to be able to prevent any physical pain or injury. We want to prevent loss of time, both for you as an individual as well as our team. Saving money for both as well, for you as an individual and for the team, because there's either costs in fixing the item that could have been prevented in the first place, or even hospital costs, etc. We want to be able to continue our program. And lastly, is even just keeping up a reputation of being a safe environment for students. This is not an all-encompassing video, but what we will cover are types of incidents and their prevention, resolution, including fire, hand, eye, ear, and feet injuries, electrical injuries, ergonomic injuries, falls, slips, and trips, as well as some tool safety, and some other safety items that don't fit into other categories. Let's talk fire safety, including the following agenda. Elements of the fire tetrahedron, fire classifications, how fire extinguishers work, types of fire extinguishers, and when to evacuate. Did you know that as little as 30 seconds, flames could get out of control and turn into a major fire? Let's talk about fire safety awareness. Do you know where our fire extinguishers are? Do you know our evacuation routes? For example, in our shop, we have 3. The main entrance, there's one down the hall from the restrooms, and even one just past our orange meeting room. Suggest you familiarize yourself with them and the turns that you might need to make, maybe even the number of doors, because you may not be able to see, and you may need to feel your way through the smoke. For our shop, if there is an evacuation needed due to a fire, evacuate to the sign on the northwest corner of the parking lot. Also suggest knowing where fire alarm locations are. Let's talk about what makes up a fire, and therefore how to disrupt it. A fire is heat and light energy released during a chemical reaction. All 4 elements, 4? Yes, you're looking at a triangle, but in the center is the 4th. But all 4 elements must be present for a fire to occur. Removing any of the 3 elements of the fire triangle or interrupting the actual chemical chain will help stop the fire. Oxygen, heat, fuel, and chain reaction make up those 4 elements. Let's familiarize ourselves with the fire classifications, the symbols, the letters, the images, and the details. A, or the triangle, is simply for ordinary combustibles like wood, paper, cloth. B is for flammable liquids, also a square. It actually is things like gasoline, paint, and solvents. The circle, or C, is for electrical, which is motors and wiring and other electrical equipment. D, or the star, on the other hand, is for combustible metal, magnesium and aluminum. And lastly, the letter K is for commercial or even home cooking. Things like vegetable oil or animal fats and things like that can catch fire. Moving on to how fire extinguishers work. Most of them work through either cooling, which would remove heat, smothering, or siphonification, which is just a soapy foam. Both would remove oxygen, or even simply breaking the chain reaction. Parts for a fire extinguisher are the main cylinder, which you can see as a cutaway. And just remember that it's often compressed material inside of it, so it may have a kick. Long cylinder part is the tube, and at the very end is an actual nozzle. Make sure to use the proper fire extinguisher for the relative fire. Failing to do so may make the fire spread or get worse. For example, you wouldn't want to use a water-based extinguisher on flammable liquids or oils. On an electrical fire, it could actually increase the chance for electrical shock. Please note that a deionized water mist may be used on an electrical fire. The best thing to do is check the label on the extinguisher. Some actually have covered multiple categories, hence the return of the 5 classifications. Remember the triangle, A, B, the square, C, the circle, D, the star, and K have all come back, as well as sometimes you'll even see the actual image as well on a fire extinguisher. So just remember, A for ordinary combustibles, B for flammable liquids, C for electrical, D for combustible materials, and K for commercial or even home cooking. Now that you know the fire extinguisher types, let's talk about how to use one. Only use it if it's large enough to actually extinguish the fire. Check for an evacuation route before using. You should be between the fire and the exit. A solid stance is necessary as many of these are pressurized. Memorize it by the pass method of how to use one. First, pull the pin. Next, aim the nozzle at the base of the fire. Squeeze the handle and sweep from side to side. If you're too far away, you may need to step closer, but normally you should be about 8 to 10 feet away. Last fire slide, I promise, and that is when to evacuate. Remember, objects can be replaced, not people. If the fire is spreading too fast, it's time to evacuate. If the fire could even block your exit, evacuate. If you got the wrong extinguisher or you're not comfortable using it, evacuate. And if the heat prevents you from being within the 10 to 15 feet that you need to use it, evacuate. If you're needing to crawl, it's time to get out of there. And if you're hesitating for any of the above, it's better just to leave. In this section, we're going to quickly cover hand, eye, ear, and feet safety, covering types of incidents, causes, as well as prevention. For the types of incidents, we have mechanical, for example, cuts and punctures, abrasions, or even crushing. Environmental, example, heat, cold, electrical, and even noise. Or irritating incidents like chemicals. Moving on to causes, we have line of fire, which is wrong place, wrong time. For example, putting your hand in a line of where the drill press will go. A state of mind or being. For example, fatigue, frustration. Maybe you're in a hurry. Or maybe you've just gotten too complacent because you haven't had an injury before. Or horseplay. Some of the things won't be tolerated. I could tell you horror stories of incidents where people have passed out while operating heavy machinery. Let's talk about how we're going to try and prevent these hand, eye, ear, and feet injuries. First of all, rest if needed. Take a break. If you're not feeling well, just tell us or stay home. Don't play around. These tools are not meant for play. Make sure you use the proper PPE or personal protective equipment. For example, safety glasses, using the proper type and size of glove. Remember that even the wrong size glove can sometimes be more harmful than not wearing one. Ear protection, and we also require closed-toed shoes. So, for example, we have a lot of aluminum shards, and if you're walking around with open toes, you may get one in your feet. So we have some leather gloves. We have some disposable gloves. We may have some other gloves. We have some ear protection. Make sure when you're using it, you follow the proper directions. A lot of them you have to compress down. Put it in the proper depth. Don't go too far because it needs to expand when it goes in. If you just leave it the size and try and push it in, it's not going to be in there and prevent the sound damage that you would need to worry about. Also, we have varying size type of safety glasses. Some actually are designed to go over glasses. Some are designed for a little different profile. So also you might want to consider your own if you can afford it, because we need enough around the shop as well as even when we go to competitions. We do have 2 portable eye washers if needed, and we also have 2 first aid kits. My suggestion is you know where they are in the shop, as well as these things get transported with. Remember where you and your hands should not be. I have a rule called single depth. And that means don't stack tools and rags, etc. that might prevent someone from seeing a hazard. Better to spread out your tools. Nothing worse than trying to grab a rag and realizing there's a knife underneath. A side note, if you have an eye injury, make sure to cover both eyes, as both eyes tend to work together in tandem. So if you want to help prevent that injured eye from getting any more damage from too much movement, cover both. Electrical safety. Use proper wiring, red to red, black to black, etc. Don't leave exposed wires. That can cause an injury or short. Think about wired management. After a while, scrapes and abrasions can actually cause exposed wires. Make sure you have solid connections. For example, don't pick up a battery by the cables and end up loosening it. We'll end up getting a short or just a poor connection. Make sure you have proper voltage and amperage. For example, wires, cables, connectors, and other various components have ratings and gauges for certain use. Make sure you use the proper reductions or increases in voltage or amperage. For example, directly connecting a battery to a motor versus running it through the PDB to properly regulate can actually damage a component. Ask a few in the shop. Remember that electrical systems may still carry power even after being disconnected from a battery. For example, capacitors. Current, or aka amps, are what hurts you, not voltage. And another item to remember is motorcycle batteries that we use are acid-based, sulfuric acid. So be careful if one leaks, if you drop it, or etc. I mean, you can use baking soda to help neutralize. Note, alkaline batteries are actually bases, and therefore you should use an acid like vinegar or lemon juice to neutralize those. But remember, there's other chemicals in there as well, even if you properly neutralize it. So make sure you use protective gloves when trying to clean up such a mess. Ergonomic safety. Repetitive or incorrect body motion or body position is a potential cause. One thought is use the right tool in order to reduce such repetition. For example, a drill instead of a screwdriver. Monitors, for example, should be approximately 20 inches or 51 centimeters away. Top line of it should actually be near or just below eye height. And take additional breaks. For lifting, maybe try and size up a load. Just test a corner and see if you need some help. And if you do, make sure you coordinate the lift. Center yourself. Bend your knees, let the legs do the work, not your back. And whatever you do, don't twist your back as you're carrying a heavy object. And we'll slide on over to fall safety. Make sure you keep your work area clear. Don't rush or run. Make sure you can see properly. Wear proper footwear treads. Make small steps, especially in icy conditions. And have a proper center of gravity. Make sure you're not leaning over or anything like that. Let's talk general tool safety. First, use the proper tool for the job. Inspect tools before use. If they're worn, broken, choose another. Focus on the task. Make sure the material is held securely. Sometimes you may have to hold 2 different ways, both mechanically as well as with your hands. Again, consider a line of fire. Where are things going to be? Where's that bandsaw cutting? Is my hand in the way? Use proper PPE, personal protective equipment. Dull tools can actually cause more problems or risks, so make sure if it's a knife that it's sharp. Put tools away when not in use. Remember, we have other students in our building as well, so let's try and keep them safe. Only use our tools for our team activities, not for other activities unless otherwise approved. Power tools. Don't use them unless properly instructed. Consider other safety. Maybe alert someone that you're going to use the chop saw. Don't kink cords. That can cause internal frays. Leave safety devices in place. Power off and unplug when fixing or adjusting. And even unplug when not in use. Remember, we have other students in the building. Let's keep them safe. No loose clothing, hair, or jewelry. They can get caught in equipment, and with some of the speeds, they can reel in faster than you think. Use proper PPE. In our case, we're also requiring the use of the buddy system. That means at least one other person that's not engaged to just observe. We have safety glasses that are required in our build room, as well as when using tools anywhere else. And remember, the chop saw is quite loud, especially in that small space. Let's move on to other safety items. Let's start with communication. For example, announcing that you're enabling the robot. You also need to listen to those announcements. You got to remember, our robots can move anywhere between 15 and 22 feet per second. That's like a high school linebacker made out of metal hitting you without pads. Don't be alone with non-family mentors. Wait for others. This may include helping just becoming on time. Don't go off on your own, and make sure you just keep mentors informed where you're going. It's also helpful to tell us what allergies you may have. We also do have safety data sheets in the shop, so if you are exposed to certain chemicals, we can identify the details of what the composition is. Our safety captain, a key part of our safety program, should not only focus on shop safety, but also make sure we're packed and ready to go for events, and maybe even help plan where to go in the case of a fire. There is no AED currently in our shop, nor anywhere near our shop. To that avail, you may want to consider maybe some official CPR or first aid training to help. If there is an injury, please report it, no matter how small, to one of the mentors. Use Slack to communicate. We've had issues before where we've had fire alarms go off at certain events, and we've used it to even communicate while at the event to make sure everyone got out safely and where they all are. Those who are under 14 are required to have a parent or guardian present at our facility or at events. Another item to consider is internet and social media. There's a video that I'd like you to take and consider to watch. This will be included in your materials. If you missed it, please ask about it. The thing to remember out of that is your posts should be considered permanent. People can collect them, screen capture, so forth. And sadly, there are predators out there who may use that information. Be careful at what you do. Social media is a good thing, but also can be dangerous if misused.